Good morning, Bucknutters. Welcome to the Bucknuts Morning 5 here on Monday, January 12th, 2026. I am Dave Biddle. Very happy joined by Dan Rubin. All right, Earl Little Jr. is in the fold. He's got 1 year of eligibility left. Had a really good year at Florida State this past season. Led the Seminoles in tackles, had 4 picks. Didn't really do much prior to that in his career. When Fahim Delane decided to transfer, Dan, I was like, oh, that's the one I was like first. That was like really the first one. I was like, damn, I had him penciled in as a starter, but maybe he knew Earl Little was on the way. Maybe those two things are not related at all. I don't know.
I'd like him to call me and tell me what's going on if he could, because I can't even put into words the level of chaos that is behind the scenes. I've got a kind of analogy I want to share later on that may clue everybody in. Let's talk Earl Little a little bit. One player on Florida State's defense got all ACC, recognition this past season. It was Earl Little. He was the second team all ACC safety. I don't know if this is a rule, but generally speaking, it looks like to me, if you go and look at the all conference teams, so your Power 4 all conference teams, the guys on the first team tend to go to the NFL. The guys on the second team tend to be elite transfer properties and or individuals. Properties is not the way to say that. And Earl Little would definitely fit that. He is a vet. American Heritage High School, Brandon Innes, Mark Fletcher, Diab Bell, Malachi Toney. Is that a good high school for football? Probably. So, he was at Alabama before a year. He was, I'm pretty sure he was selected to go to the ACC media days. So, he's can handle himself in front of a mic and run the show a little bit. So I was talking to my sons about this. You don't want to be the guy who replaced the guy. Okay. So we had a long conversation about Bubby Brister. People can Google that. You want to be the guy who replaced the guy As good as Earl Little could come in here and have the best season of his career and go 8th in the NFL draft, he might not be better than Caleb Downs. So people have to gear themselves up for that. I just let you know how good Mr. Downs was. Aside from that, I think it's a good pickup. Like you said, and this is kind of a larger conversation, and we are in the uncharted waters aspect of this. Having hope that a reserve is coming back going forward could be ill-fated. We have reached the NFL, people. You got your core people that get paid, and then you got the rest of the group. And then you have people say things like, oh, then why are we going to still recruit freshmen? Go look at an NFL roster. Half the guys don't make anything. Those are your freshmen now. Okay, you could write a nice senior thesis for someone like me who didn't like school and tried to make everything sports. You could do a nice senior thesis about how college football is heading towards the NFL, except here's the problem. They all have 1 year contracts, and now there are 175 NFL teams. Think that would be chaotic in the NFL and no real salary cap? Imagine what will be going on. Go ahead.
Can you imagine if right now free agency was going on in the NFL? They open up their free agency during the playoffs? Because that's exactly what college football is doing. I just wrote a column. I don't know if you've seen it yet. I wrote a column.
It's great.
And a lot needs to change. But 2 major changes that need to happen with the calendar is you can't have the signing period in December. That's stupid. That'd be like college basketball having their early signing period like during March Madness. It makes absolutely no sense to have it in December. They should have it in July, late July, right before camp opens. Have the early signing period then. Kids don't have to sign then. They can sign in February at the late signing period. But having it in December, it just makes no sense. And then having the portal open right now during the playoffs would be like the NFL having free agency open during. What does the NFL do? They have it in March. Like, why not have it in February if you're college football? These things are so simple that it's mind-boggling that people get this wrong.
I want to address something real quickly here. From Hollywood Hager, good question. You guys are great. You guys always manage to bring up the outlier part of this. This is just my opinion. I have quarterbacks now in a separate ranking from and by the way, the NFL does this too. I have quarterbacks in a separate ranking from everybody else. Quarterbacks are in their own category, rankings wise, salary wise, playing time wise. 2 years ago, more than 50% of the starters in Division I were transfers. You can't say that about other spots. So quarterback is different because the question from Hollywood Hager is, okay, Tavian Sinclair is the backup. Will he leave then? I do not think so. If you were the backup at Ohio State, where you were in line to start for more than one season, you're not going to leave. That doesn't make any sense. Now, if we brought in someone in the next X time that would be a legitimate threat to Tavian St. Clair's playing time, then all bets are off. But I don't believe that will happen. So I just want to make that clarification there.
Yeah, the calendar in college football is so strange. We need to do away with the huge. These things probably won't happen because of money, but like I would love it. We're definitely not going to get rid of conference championship games. Just look at the ratings for Ohio State, Indiana this year. They were off the charts. I wish we would get rid of conference championship games because they're basically meaningless, but we're not going to. I don't like the long layoff. They should have more playoff games in December, earlier in December, whatever. All right, so portal needs kicker. I wanted to lead off with that because people are, how come nobody talks about kicker? We need a kicker. Damn it. Can we get from Ole Miss? Defensive end. Obviously, they've been after defensive ends. They haven't landed guys like Chaz Coleman, who decided he's going to go to the highest bidder. Hey, good for him. Another defensive tackle. Already got John Walker. I like that Patricia. A couple of things about Patricia. I'm sure he's still keeping his ears open if things happen in the NFL. All of a sudden, somebody offers him a ton of money to be a D coordinator on a good team. I think he'd listen. But he's actually meeting with these kids. So when these kids are coming in for visits, like he's the one meeting with them. Like if a D tackle comes to visit, so that's a good sign. He's at least planning on staying. Hopefully he does. Need another D tackle. And I love that Patricia's going after big D tackles. John Walker, 6'4", 325. The other guys are going after all big D tackles. He doesn't want like the undersized D tackles. A running back, even though Bo's coming back. Awesome that Bo's coming back. It's too bad all that got so public and people were taking shots at Bo. I don't know what. I seriously doubt he was demanding $1.5 million because, like you're saying, it's like NIL is a lot like the NFL. Like as far as the money, quarterbacks obviously get the most, and then who gets the next most? Like stuff like pass rushers, corners, left tackles, big D tackles.
It's a little different, Dave. Running backs are getting paid in the. You can be paid as a running back early in college, and in college, I don't think the quarterbacks always are going to be the highest paid. Like if you go into the NFL right now, you could be the 8th highest paid quarterback, and you're what, the 13th highest paid player in the league or something like that. There's a player on Ohio State's team who makes a lot of money who's not a quarterback, who might be the highest paid player in college football, and deservedly so, I might add.
Jeremiah Smith.
Oh yeah, him.
Yeah.
He's the outlier.
In case anybody out there didn't know who we were talking about. Yeah, it's JJ. He was making a ton. I know exactly what he's making. He was making a lot, and rightfully so, this past season, and he got a raise. And I've heard he actually had a bigger offer on the table, and took maybe a $1 million less to stay at Ohio State. But he's also filthy rich, so good for him. Hey, he might go down.
He didn't start at 0.
Yeah, unless something goes wrong, he's going to go down as the best wide receiver ever come through here, and that is saying a massive amount since guys like Chris Carter have came through here. So, all right, but let's look at some of these.
Hold on a sec. About Jeremiah, let's just genuflect here for a sec. I told you I'm a draft nerd. I don't even want to reveal the level of my nerdiness and what I watch and what I follow. But there's a couple ways if you're a Cowboys fan, they have the best draft coverage. They have 2 guys who are incredible. Literally half the coverage is dedicated to guys on the Buckeyes. And what they said was their number 1 cornerback in the draft, these 2 guys I listened to, was Jermod McCoy, who was the defensive back at Tennessee. And he said, here's the problem. I watched him play against Jeremiah Smith, and then I thought, there aren't any good corners left. He's like, I would trade the guy. He would trade the Cowboys 2 first-round picks this year for the right to draft Jeremiah Smith next year. He's that good. You got to put a Larry Bird rule in there for him.
And you don't have to worry about him being a diva. He's like a good guy. Saying he's a hard worker is like an understatement. He is a workaholic.
Yeah.
And I know things can change. I know he wouldn't be the first one to get a lot of money and kind of then put it on cruise control, but I don't get that that's in him. Certain people certain people are just wired differently, and that's JJ.
He's competing against Megatron, dude. You know what I'm saying? He's like, look, his salary and his talent and his production and whatever you want to say is just different. It's not normal. You can't, if you use that to make any other decisions, you're going to be faulty. Now, keep this in mind, though, for next year, we're going to be very aggressive in the portal next time around, given the fact our highest paid player will be then getting paid by the NFL. That's a big chunk. So that's very appealing. And one other thing I wanted to add, and because you mentioned this and I wanted to piggyback, you had a thread up. If Max Clare comes back, they'll have 10 starters
on offense.
Right.
So everybody except for Carnell, unless you count Tegra. Go ahead.
So think about this. If you're going to transfer and you're the level of player that Ohio State fans want, and you're on offense, guess where you're not transferring to? Because they have 10 starters coming back. So you're just not going to get that many guys to come to the offense. Now, there are differences. The Quinshon Judkins example, and you've heard some really great names about guys they possibly could be going after who are running backs who aren't even in the portal yet. Yes, a position like running back, you can share carries and stuff like that. But no one's coming here to be the left guard if Montgomery is set. They're just not going to do. No one's coming here thinking they're going to be the starting quarterback. And who are we going to? So people got to chill on that. And receiver, even the guy who transferred in here, McCune, is not coming here to be a starter.
Right.
He's kind of a veteran. We called him the 3.5. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
For a 3.5, he's good for 1 year. But defensively, I get it. But why would you transfer somewhere and not start? Who would want to do that based on the level of guys that we're going at? We want. When we added the guy from UTSA, the receiver, no one cared because they didn't think he was good enough. But then we get crap because Indiana adds guys we don't think are good enough that are good. So we can't really make up our mind here. I think we're struggling with like what is going on and how we feel about what's going on. You know what I'm saying? Like the schedule is terrible and it's goofy free agency. Yes. But an actual practically applied, is it hurting the Buckeyes? And that's where the discussion comes in. Me personally, I'm handling this like the draft. There was a time during the draft where we're going to finish 9th overall. And we were just like, different times. Let's wait it out and see what happens. And, legend band Chris Henry on line 2. So I think they have earned the benefit of the doubt to be patient. Now, if we get to the end of this thing, and keep in mind, and I'm ranting here, the 2-week window here is just to enter the transfer portal, not to commit. So you're going to have X number. What's going to be very interesting to me is those last 2 days. Are you going to have a ton of dudes just jump in knowing they'll be the new open commodities for X amount of time? So keep that in mind. This doesn't end in a week. This goes on in perpetuity once you're in the portal. So that's just the declaration date. So they're going to have to backfill a lot of the roster. So uncharted waters when it comes to that.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people counting down because the deadline, as you said, to enter the portal is this Friday. But if you're already in there, or you enter it by Friday, you can make your decision 2 months from now if you want. Let me ask you this. I think people forget about the name Xavier Lucas. Do you even really need to enter the portal? Is there any – you could say, yeah, because you don't want to get your new school sued, but I don't think there's any chance that – for those who don't know what I'm talking about, Xavier Lucas, starting defensive back for the Miami Hurricanes this year. He started against the Buckeyes. I just did a story. I used a picture of Xavier Lucas trying to tackle J.J. Smith in the CFP game. So Xavier Lucas was at Wisconsin in 2024. And after that season, he signed an NIL deal with the Badgers Collective. And after that, he didn't collect any money. It wasn't like he took the money and ran. He just ran. He said he wanted to enter the portal. The Badgers said, no, we're not putting your name in the portal, because the schools actually are the ones that do that. The kids themselves can't put their names in the portal. And so he said, okay, I'm just going to leave anyway and go to Miami. And he was eligible right away. He was a starter. Nothing happened. And Wisconsin's not suing him. Wisconsin's suing Miami for tampering. My opinion on that is good luck. Does everybody tamper? Yes. Did Miami tamper with the Xavier Lucas situation? I would bet my life on it, but that's not proof though. Unless there's a paper trail, there's no proof. So that's a precedent that doesn't get enough attention. If Xavier Lucas can do that, anybody could do that. And I don't think there's any chance that Wisconsin's going to win their lawsuit against Miami. Nobody's talking about that. So even if you're a player who doesn't enter your name in the portal by Friday, you can just bypass the entire process.
It's the Wild West or whatever cliche you want to use. And here's another thing. Nobody wants to get sued because they know they'll lose. Right. So if you're willing to go to that level, you'll be in good shape. I mean, I don't think we're going to have any issues like that here. I also just don't agree with the like the Richie Dubs of the world who think Ohio State football, as we've noted it, 25 years is dead. I would say the AP poll coming out next year would claim them not dead. But
right.
Look, I get there's going to be people that are negative throughout this. My general sense is, I'm not going to be mean. I think people need to have a little more patience, a little more faith, but I'm not everyone. I mean, people get it happens in free agency. If you're a fan of the NFL, your team gets so fired up when you miss out on guys, because it's like you're getting to shop. It seems like at some exclusive fancy. We have the nucleus of Ohio State's team is set. You think a lot of people wouldn't want to come back with 10 starters on offense, the best player in the country, arguably the best quarterback coming back, or one of them. So, yeah, we're in good shape. If you're freaking out now, I get it. It's understandable. It's just not based in reality.
So they need to get a defensive end, another D tackle, a running back, corner, and a kicker. And yeah, I don't think people are like, what about offensive line? It's like, well, they've got the entire starting offensive line coming back, plus whether you consider Gabe Van Sickle and Josh Padilla. Let's just look at the postseason. Gabe Van Sickle and Padilla got a decent amount of playing time. So did Ian Moore. So it's not just the guys that started all season. It's the guys that came in there late and got valuable playing time, like Van Sickle, Padilla, and more, that really add to the depth, adding to those veterans that played on the national championship team, like Sarah Veld and Luke Montgomery and Carson Hinsman and all those guys. Philip Daniels is coming back as well. They might kick him inside the guard. They might kick Sarah Veld inside the guard, start Ian Moore at left tackle. Sarah Veld could go to right tackle. Sarah Veld can do anything. So, yeah, having your entire starting offensive line back plus a couple of kids on the come up, that's huge. All right. What do you make of? I had a conversation with Brian Schottenstein recently, and J-Book did as well. What do you make of the foundation basically just being dissolved? Like Ohio State, initially it was like, we're going to keep everything in-house, but the foundation is going to keep doing what they're doing. And that's how it was billed. Turns out it's just Ohio State just wants to do everything in-house, and the foundation doesn't even really exist anymore. Brian even went as far as to say, hey, you can tell your guys that you can take want to donate to the foundation little thing that we have, you can take that off our stories, because it's not really a thing anymore. I guess they did such a good job. They helped them win a national championship. It's like, well, it's not broke, so let's break it. I have no idea like why you wouldn't want to keep those things separate. Do what you need to do in-house with the revenue sharing, with Learfield and everything, and then have this foundation on the side taking care of, okay, you take care of the portal or whatever it might be. You take care of recruits, or you take care of retaining the players. Focus on that. I have no idea why you're not using those resources that Brian and Cardale and those guys developed. It's mind-boggling to me. And Brian's flummoxed about it too.
Yeah, it doesn't make much sense. If you do the ain't broke, don't fix it approach. And we saw firsthand what they did. Now, the timing was right, but I think the basis of the foundation argument would be, look at the class we brought in, or that what we did. Like I said on a couple spots, the transfer class that we got heading into the national championship season, I'm not sure you'll ever see a transfer class at any other school or this one as good as that one, player for player. I get it, 247 style. If you get 100 people, you get ranked number one. aggregate wise. I don't buy that. I'm average per recruit guy.
Right.
To get those players, we needed like an active guy. I mean, Saban retired, stuff like that. So that's never going to happen again. So in some respect, though, we built our expectations probably too high. And then, by the way, we won the national championship. So it worked. I just think things have changed. I get people saying that we don't have any depth. My question is, do you think they're just going to go into the season with less players? Those spots are going to get filled. This is just a different schedule. So I'm not really worried about that. I'm really confident Ohio State will field one of the 3 or 4 most talented rosters in football next year. So I'm not super concerned about it. I will say I did not think Texas Tech, for example, could do what they're doing. I did not think that. So I was wrong about that. They have literally, it's almost like those guys were in a room cheating and then someone knocked on the door and was like, by the way, everything's legal now. And they're like, what? Yeah, let's go. And they're off to the races. I was saying, you used to not want to see like Alabama and Georgia in recruiting battles. Now to me, it's like, if I see Texas Tech, I'm like, I don't know. We're going to get smoked.
Isn't that crazy?
It is. It's just
little oil money. We need
how drastic things have changed, Dave.
We need a fracking maven in Ohio. So people are like, well, we need oil in Ohio. We do have fracking.
But they're still not going to do that.
Not quite as lucrative as what's going on in Texas last time I checked. But yeah, man, I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. They should do both, and maybe they will. O'Brien just made it seem like it's just a done deal that he has more time though. He just had a second child, and him and his wife can now chill more because he was just doing it on his own time, raising money, using some of his own money. Like, I don't get it, man. I don't get it. And I don't think Mark Cuban's walking through that door like Indiana has. And Michigan has Larry Ellison, and Oregon has Phil Knight, and the aforementioned Texas Tech has Cody Campbell. Who do we have?
I mean, we may not have the one person you could name like that, but also I do think that there's a misinterpretation of what's going on here. The main reason Ohio State, I don't think they get to a point where Ohio State's like looking in their bank account and can't afford to pay somebody. You think that's
right? It's not like Ohio State has plenty of money.
But I don't think these are financial decisions.
Some other programs that seem like they have donors that are going above and beyond what Ohio State's doing. It's kind of, LeBron would be a perfect one. That would be great right there. Like what Mark Cuban's doing at Indiana, he's not giving specific numbers, but it sounds like he is giving a ton of money. Yeah, Wexner was the one, but
my question, Dave, is what are we saying here?
I'll just leave it there. I think you guys know what I'm saying.
Yeah. Are we saying Ohio State doesn't actually have the money to pay them? Or are we saying Ohio State is choosing to use their funds differently? There's two different things there. Would you agree?
A little more the latter, but a little bit of both. I think there is more money coming in at Oregon right now, and Texas Tech, and even Indiana because of Cuban.
See, I don't know that.
That's what I've been told. Miami's another one.
I've not been told that.
Ruiz, they have the businessman. I think his last name is Ruiz. He's a businessman down there. And these teams are not playing by these schools. Well, I don't blame them because there's no rules. The NCAA proved, even though it was something different in the Michigan situation, that anything goes. Like it was like 10 pages of you cheated, we have this evidence, and then slapped them on the wrist. So you got Texas Tech and Oregon. I don't want to pick on these teams because a lot of other teams are doing it. Texas Tech, Miami, all these teams, Indiana, they're not really playing by the rules. We're trying to play by the rules.
There are no rules. So to say rules, even to start out with the concept of rules, is silly to me.
I agree.
I think what's going on with Ohio State, and we will effort to get more on this. They just have a way they're doing things that's worked, and they don't necessarily agree with the average fan, which we don't have enough information behind closed doors to know exactly what rules. So I think they just don't want to upset the locker room. That's just what I think is going on. I get that everyone wants to get paid. And then, by the way, upsetting the locker room now means the locker room guys are coming back for more money too. You know what I'm saying? So this is not like a one-sided deal here. everyone on your team, imagine if you're NFL, their contract's up. They can come back to you and do that too. So you're having to establish, I know that the rates are going up, but you're having to establish that. So they aren't going to do very simply, they are not going to pay a guy they don't think that can come in and start, or they don't want to pay him more than the incumbent. You can pay Earl Little more than Jalen McClain and justify it because he's more accomplished. That's not arguable. You bring in a freshman who isn't proven, who is being paid more than Jalen McClain, who's not as good, you are up the creek. And it's been proven these guys will come back and ask for more money. I don't think it's going to happen at Ohio State. I think we're going to get to the point where guys are going to get to Saturday and be like, you know what? If I don't get another extra $100,000 today, I don't feel like playing. That's going to happen. It may have already happened. We don't even know about it.
It's happened at Ohio State.
So
before a bowl game.
Yeah. So all rules are off. So all mentality is off. They're trying to maintain the locker room, and their argument would be, I think, look at the last 2 years. Who's retained better than Ohio State? Go read the boards at Georgia. Go read the boards at Alabama. The same guy who's saying, oh, college football's not for me anymore, and I hate this. They're being cut and pasted across every single message board in the country. This is not happening in a vacuum. We are not the only ones who don't like the new process. Okay. It's not, Texas Tech is not the new normal. Okay. Go read the boards at Alabama or Florida State or some of the other schools that used to, or even Oregon. All they do is complain about who they didn't get. So, like the recruiting class, let's just see where the dust settles. Now, if it settles and we are obviously at a talent deficit, then you have right to freak out. I don't think that's going to happen.
All right, we're going to close up shop now. Good stuff from Dan Rubin. Thanks to everybody for tuning in. We appreciate it. I hope everyone has a great rest of your day, and go to Bucknuts. We got you guys covered. Go Bucks.